Well, after almost 2 to 3 years of conflict in Gaza, a lot of death and destruction, there is some relative peace. And there is an announcement of a board of peace for Gaza that has been announced by President Trump. What does this mean for the ordinary Palestinian, and what is the future of the state of Palestine? Joining me right now is, of course, the Foreign Minister of Palestine, Varsen Aghabekian. Thank you very much, Foreign Minister, for joining us. Let me begin by asking you about the situation down on ground, because we do not have a live feed that is coming in from Gaza. But after the ceasefire, what is the situation down on ground? What are you hearing?
Well, we do have a ceasefire. It's a partial ceasefire because since the agreement was signed, killing has continued and injuries have continued, but not to the extent that was seen before. What we would hope is for this ceasefire to become permanent and for relief efforts to start immediately. We have now the administrative committee that has been formed to enter Gaza and start working on the ground. People need a lot. Everything is destroyed. People need the basic services. We need to start the basic relief efforts in terms of education, healthcare, in terms of feeding people, in terms of providing shelter to the people, because most people in Gaza today are displaced, living in tents, or if they are living in partially destroyed buildings, these buildings may fall at any time. So there's a lot of need in Gaza, and that needs to be met immediately.
Well, those are genuine concerns, and I'm sure this has come under discussion with the US administration as well. Now, about the announcement of the Board of Peace, we saw an event taking place in Davos where several countries came on Board of Peace. How do you see this initiative? Do you see this as long-lasting? Because there are some concerns in some sectors in Europe also who say that this peace board is from US and perhaps sees the Gaza situation from the prism of US and could undermine the United Nations. What do you feel about it?
Well, we have welcomed the Board of Peace because that Board of Peace would bring a cessation of fire, and it would help in the humanitarian assistance and the starting of the relief efforts. What we have welcomed is a Board of Peace as stipulated in UN Security Resolution 3802, and that spoke clearly on what needs to happen and what a Board of Peace is defined by. What was presented in Davos was a bit farther than just Gaza, and as such it was challenged by many countries, and I think many countries are studying what that Board of Peace is all about and contemplating whether they would join or not, and whether it would really replace the UN or not.
Well, we've seen Trump's 20-point agenda on the peace plan that is being implemented slowly, and now they're saying that they're entering the second phase. We saw a statement just recently from the Prime Minister of Israel, who said that the ultimate goal for peace in Gaza will only be achieved by demilitarization of Hamas. So they've agreed for a partial opening of the Rafah crossing. But how do you see this statement from the Israeli Prime Minister?
The ultimate goal is for all parties to comply with the terms of the agreement. All parties, including Israel. And as such, we would like to embark on the second phase with such compliance from all sides. What matters right now is for people to breathe in Gaza. After 2 years of atrocities, it is time that these people receive relief efforts, receive the caravans that they need so that they can have a roof on top of their heads, and they can start eat and drink clean water. This is what is needed right now, and we hope that all parts to this agreement comply with what came in the agreement.
But Minister, if I can be a devil's advocate, there are also, apart from the situation down on the ground, which I empathize personally with, there is also the terrorism angle of Hamas. There is the use of the gun, the ammunition, etc. The kind of terror attack that happened and I'm not comparing this with the death and destruction that happened, that needs to be condemned in Gaza. What guarantees are there that Hamas will not, get a rebirth? Do you also have such fears that if there is a peace plan or a pathway towards peace, Hamas could derail it?
If there is a genuine path towards peace and people see that there's a future where their right is respected, where their people are respected, where their people are not humiliated, where your children and your grandchildren have a future to live for, I think all Palestinians will be for peace.
Now, coming to India, because you are here in New Delhi and I'm told this is your first visit.
Yes.
How's been the experience so far? I'm not sure if you have been able to explore India as much in these few hours, but how's the experience so far and what are you looking forward to?
The experience has been great, as expected. People are very hospitable and very forthcoming. I've had numerous interviews. We've had two major meetings, a press conference yesterday and a meeting with some parliamentarians, some people from the government, civil society, activists and so forth. The meetings have gone very well and I expect the rest of the day and tomorrow will be very productive.
On the Gaza situation, India has always been empathetic to the concerns of the people when it comes to the humanitarian aid. India was one of the first countries to step in recently in the last 2 to 3 years to send in aid through Egypt. In your communication with India, how would you see the rebuilding of Gaza? Would you want India to play an increasingly important role when it comes to restoring the livelihood and dignity of the people of Gaza?
The devastation in Gaza and the needs in the entire state of Palestine under occupation needs a lot of support from the whole world. India has been a major supporter. It has supported in humanitarian assistance. It has supported us in international forums. It has supported several development projects on the West Bank. And we expect that India would continue with this kind of support in the future, and particularly related to the reconstruction of Gaza.
And India has a relationship with Israel as well, a strategic partnership, and we could expect the Indian Prime Minister visiting Israel perhaps in a few weeks from now. How do you see that relationship?
We have no problem with countries being friends with both. I mean, India is a sovereign country and it has its own interests. But we expect that India would stand up for its values. India is the largest democracy in the world. India is for international law, for compliance with international law, for the rights of the people, for peace to prevail. And as such, India knows the history of Palestine, knows the suffering of the Palestinian people, and knows the rights of the Palestinian people as enshrined in international law. And as such, we expect India to stand tall for those rights and say it very clearly to a friend, the State of Israel, that if you want strategically to live in the area and live in peace with the neighbors, then the rights of your neighbors need to be respected as per international law.
So let me ask you, blunt Foreign Minister. In the last few years, whenever there's been a conflict, India has taken a position of peace, diplomacy and dialogue. India has said repeatedly in meetings with global leaders like Putin, Zelensky and perhaps Netanyahu as well, that there cannot be an era of war. This is not an era of war and solutions cannot be found in the battlefield. Would you, Foreign Minister, want India in any way, because it is at such a unique position, good ties with Israel, but great ties with the people of Palestine as well. Would you want India to mediate in some way in foreseeable future for mediation of peace talks or a permanent peace between Israel and Palestine?
I think that is very much in line with the PLO and the Palestinian Authority. We are also for solving conflicts, any border issues around the table. No more time for wars. Wars will only bring more violence and more destruction. And as such, yes, India is friendly with both entities, and we think it can play a role in that regard.
When you actually meet Foreign Minister Jaishankar and also interact at the overall multilateral level of India and the Arab foreign ministers and the League of Nations, the Arab nations, what would be your top priority? I'm pretty sure that the regional conflicts in Palestine and perhaps Iran and other issues would be the top priority. But from your state's perspective, what would be your concerns that you would raise at the forum?
I think the priority today for Palestinians is a sustainable ceasefire on the Gaza front, immediate relief efforts, and reconstruction to start as soon as possible. On the larger level, the priority is the respect of the rights of Palestinians as enshrined in international law. Meaning, if you're a two-stater, you need to help Palestine materialize that state, and you need to enforce international law, because this is what the world goes by, at least for now. If not international law, then what?
There are some concerns that your government has also raised on the situation in West Bank. Could you tell us how things are right now?
The things are very volatile because the Israeli policy in terms of Palestinians is the same. It is done differently on the Gaza Strip and differently on the West Bank. Today on the West Bank, there's this very silent push towards annexation, this creeping annexation that's eating up the Palestinian land, the build-up of more settlements, more settlers living in those illegal settlements. The settlers are armed and they terrorize Palestinian lives. We have encroachment on the work of international organizations, on UNRWA, destruction in Palestinian camps, more violations of Palestinian prisoners' rights, including rape in prisons, etc., etc. So the violations are intensifying, the incitement against Palestinians is also intensifying, and the situation is dangerous.
In the last few months, Minister, we've seen some kind of support also coming from Australia and a few other countries in Europe. There has been recognition that has been given to the state of Palestine. Do you think that the West in all has done enough for the state of Palestine and people of Gaza, or what would be your future expectations?
The more can be done, because the situation is crystal clear. The situation is that of an occupation, an occupier and people that have been occupied, whose rights have been violated for decades, and it's about time that we say enough is enough, and occupier cannot continue its occupation. We have a clear ICJ opinion that says this occupation needs to be dismantled. We have over 2/3 of the world countries supporting the New York Declaration, and that declaration clearly states that you need to take Palestine from where it is today to materializing the state on the ground and sovereignty and independence.
Fair enough. There's one concern that is from New Delhi as well, and that is of the issue of terrorism. You know, India had this Operation Sindoor after Pahalgam terror attack. And recently, we've seen over the last 2 to 3 years, a lot of meetings happening between Hamas and the terror groups in Pakistan, Lashkar-e-Toiba. How would you see these meetings? And if at all discussed, what would be your version? I'm not saying that you are involved in any way or you have anything to say on that, but what would be your objective view on this?
Our stance as PLO, the State of Palestine, is very clear. No to violence, yes to solving issues around the table with negotiations. And we will continue to say so because we are the ones who have suffered tremendously from violations perpetrated against us by an occupier state.
Finally, you, of course, would be meeting Foreign Minister Jaishankar, but could be possibly meeting Prime Minister Narendra Modi as well. What would be that one message that will go out from the state of Palestine to the Prime Minister? Because we've seen the delinking of the relationship between Israel and Palestine taking place. We give equal emphasis. If there is a strategic partnership with Israel, there's a humanitarian and empathetic partnership with the people of Palestine. Would you want that to continue to a newer level? One such message amidst this conflict, amidst this death and destruction?
I would say do what is right based on your values and your great history. You have been for peace. You are for the rights of people to self-determination. You have been friends with Palestine and Israel, and look at the area and this relationship strategically.
Well, fair enough. Foreign Minister, you took out time for us. I hope you have a very successful and a good journey here in New Delhi and elsewhere in India, and we do hope that you keep returning.
Thank you very much.
Well, that was the Foreign Minister of Palestine speaking to NDTV exclusively about the India and the Arab states meeting that is taking place here in New Delhi, but also on the concerns on the situation in Gaza and how the Board of Peace could function for a long-lasting peace for the people of Palestine. Reporting from New Delhi, this is Aditya Kaul for NDTV.